I was without a foot and on crutches for 2 years. This was before van life, and I needed $100,000 to get a surgery in Australia to get walking again, where they put the implant directly into your leg, into your bone. That was my only option to get walking again. So
tell the audience something about you.
Something about me. Something sort of unique. I lived in a van for 6 months and traveled around, lived on my savings, quit a job before I bought the van, decided it was a toxic job and that I needed to go explore and not worry about making money or anything, but just having my thoughts to myself and waking up with beautiful views, seeing national parks. And I traveled from Colorado up to Utah, back down to Arizona, to Texas, and back up. So nothing too crazy, but pretty life-changing experience being on your own, on the road, and a lot of times without service, without Wi-Fi, and just parking somewhere, reading a book, looking around. And I had to sell that van, but I'm saving for another. I would like to do that again one day.
How does that affect you as far as like friendships, relationships, and even family?
Well, it, for one, worried my parents quite a bit. I am an amputee, so having a medical issue, it has put a lot of worry on my parents. But as far as my friends go, I think it was inspiring to some. I do have some friends who bought vans after they saw what I was doing. I had a lot of friends who didn't understand it. I have a lot of friends who very much love having a big house and air conditioning and a bathroom and can't fathom living on the road and not having those comforts. So I've lost friends, but I've also gained a ton of friends who are in the van life community.
So you mentioned van life community. Like, where do you find that? Like, is that a website or is it like a meetup group?
So you can find other van lifers through social media. That's the beauty of social media, right? I have met a lot of them on Instagram and, well, connected with them on Instagram and then met them later on in real life. I've also, while on the road, when you do park at national parks or in parking lots, I have a Planet Fitness membership, and that's because anyone in the van life community knows that Planet Fitness doesn't care if you park in their parking lot, and they're open 24 hours, and you can come in and use their bathroom, you can park there overnight, use their Wi-Fi, they're chill about it. So you meet a lot of people living in their vehicles in those parking lots. And at national parks. So I've made a lot of friends just in parking lots and at parks. So it's been really cool. You hear a lot of stories, and it's people of all kinds who have either given up jobs or been let go from jobs. You know, they had no choice, or they just wanted to do it to go travel for a bit. So you meet lots of interesting people. You meet families who gave up everything to live in a bus because they were sick of the grind. And I have made incredible friends who have had my back.
And a lot of people will consider that as like some sort of a fast lifestyle. How are you able to financially support yourself on the road?
Well, before I had the van, I was nannying. So I saved up all my money And currently I work on farms in California. So I'll go out to California, work a few months, take a break. I come home pretty often to see my parents. So if you can live minimally, which I have learned to do, right now I live in an old garage that's been converted into a studio, so it's really cheap. If you can learn to not buy the things you don't need, you can save a lot of money. I don't go out as much as I used to. I thrift everything I wear, and I cook a lot. I just do everything I can to cut costs. So it's been a change. I used to, in my 20s, blow money like it was nothing. I would go out all the time. I would shop. I would spend so much money on things that I didn't need. So once you learn to live minimally, which getting into the van life, you learn real quick how to live minimally and get rid of a lot of things. And so that's how I did it. That's how I did it.
So you grew up in Flower Mound, went to like elementary, middle school, high school, and college. So the friends you had growing up with, I'm assuming they went different directions. Like some may have went to corporate America, some are probably married and settled down. How has this affected like your relationship with those people?
Well, I have lost a bit of friends. A lot of women my age, I'm 34, a lot of them by now are married, have kids, live in houses. They have a corporate job, or they're a stay-at-home mom. And I live a pretty different lifestyle than they do. So, I've had some of my old friends that I grew up with reach out to me and ask me if I need money. Am I okay? Why am I living in a van? Why am I out working on farms in California, setting up a tent? It worries a lot of my friends. And a lot of them don't understand why this makes me happy. A lot of people like to be comfortable and have their air conditioning and have a bathroom and have a routine. But I have always liked to travel and be in new places, and I get bored easily. So it is hard for some of them to understand, but I do have some solid friends that I've had since elementary school that are still very much in my life. But with new seasons come new friends, and they come and go, and sometimes friendships are not meant to last forever. So I've made a lot of new friends, but I have lost some. That's for sure.
You said something very intriguing. This makes me happy. So how do you feel about those who are in their current lifestyle, but they're not happy at all? But it's just what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to work 9 to 5. They're supposed to get married. They're supposed to have kids. So what do you say about those people?
I've never worked a 9 to 5. I've always had jobs where I worked sporadically, or I traveled for work, and I can't really wrap my mind around that rat race of the 9 to 5 and getting married and buying a house and being in debt. I've never wanted it, and I think I'm a lot like my parents. My dad, when he was in his 30s, was traveling around. He was living in the Grand Canyon in a tent. My mom moved here from England in her mid-20s. She wanted to get out of her hometown in England, so she wanted some adventure, and I've always had that desire since I was little to not be tied down. So it's unappealing to me, corporate jobs, and nowadays on social media we're learning more and more and more from the people in those positions of either living, in the same place their whole life, or being in a corporate job, or getting married right after college and having kids, and then being depressed that they didn't go do anything before they were in that position. So I'm watching a lot of people on social media that are feeling stuck, I feel like, and I wish more people would let go of those creature comforts and try living a little bit more minimally, and buy an RV and try to figure out how you can work from home. I mean, that's not ideal for everyone, and it's not possible for everyone, but if you're young and if you don't have kids, and if you are feeling like where you are right now in life has you stuck, you can change it up. You should try to change it up.
Earlier on, you mentioned that you are an amputee. Would you like to give us a better understanding of what you mean and how is that affecting you currently?
Sure. So I was born with a vascular problem, and since I was 2, I've had dozens and dozens of surgeries. When I was 25, I got an infection in my bone from a surgery, and I decided a couple years later, after walking around on an infected, fractured foot that was pretty useless at that point, that I needed to just have it amputated, cut off. So I did that, and due to my vascular condition, I'm really tender to the touch on my leg, my lower leg. So I couldn't wear a socket, which most amputees wear, so I was without a foot and on crutches for 2 years. This was before van life, and I needed $100,000 to get a surgery in Australia to get walking again, where they put the implant directly into your leg, into your bone. That was my only option to get walking again. So that's what actually got me out in California working on farms, because it's really good money. And that was pretty tough. I was living on farms, rough conditions, on crutches, hustling though, trying to make this money, and I did, and also with the help of a ton of very kind, generous people who donated to my GoFundMe. So once I got that money, went to Australia, got the surgery, got walking. That's actually when I left Dallas and went back to Denver and fell into the nanny job that I ended up quitting, and then got into the van life. And when you don't walk for a couple years, you really have a lot of time to think about what you're gonna do when you are walking. So I had wanted to live in a van, since my early 20s. It was always a pipe dream. But once I was walking and working and had the money, it was easy to decide I'm finally gonna do this. So there are struggles that come with being an amputee, but there are mostly beautiful moments because of the people that I have met because of it in the amputee community, and then in the van community. So a lot of people tell me they're inspired that I do this even with this medical condition, and it's really cool to meet people that are so supportive. And I have a lot of people who are constantly cheering me on with my lifestyle. So that's the gist of it.
Do you have a dating life? And if so, how has this lifestyle affected it?
It's tough. The last guy I dated for a good amount of time was back in November, December. We dated 5 weeks. I was here home visiting from California. I came home for a few months and for the holidays. Met him we hit it off. I told him from the get-go that I would be leaving back to California to go to work soon and that I would be gone for a couple months. And he said he was okay with it, but when I left for California, he lost it. You know, he had a meltdown, so it didn't work out. But it's tough. It's tough on guys to know that I won't be here for long, and that, you know, if we're gonna do this, it's gonna be long distance. So right now I don't really have a dating life. So, you know, right now I'm really focused on working, making money for the next van I buy, and for the traveling that comes with it. So, you know, I like to be really open with guys I date, you know, that I go on dates with, because I do go on dates. I mean, I went on one a few nights ago. We went to dinner, but they always have a kind of shocked look on their face when I tell them that I come and go and I don't know when I'll be here and when I won't. And you gotta have a strong, you gotta be headstrong to date me, I feel like, you know, to be able to trust me. And I haven't had much luck finding someone who is comfortable with me moving around so much. And I would love to meet someone who would like to live that life with me, but it is hard for some guys to jump into that, and for numerous reasons, either their job or their family, or it terrifies them, the idea of living in a van. So it's tough. It's tough to meet guys who are on the same page as me, that are wanting to travel and see the world.
So are you here for a good time or for a long time?
Both.